if the buzz is still. I'm not sure if the buzz is still there. But we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to. Yeah, it's in my speakers. And I just don't have a time right now to screw around with trying to figure it out. So let's move on a little farther here. So Sylvie was working and realized that she had quotas to meet. Um, now, Sylvie, you brought this up to your manager, did you not?
I did spoke with managers, with management, and with team leader, and actually I was because I was a new investigator. They when they cut government funding for programs where I was working, which was to help community organization get fundings and all that. They send us all to police, EI, and CBV, and all these systems they send us all in integrity, they call it, which is policing EI system. And I was new to that job. And you were asking me if I at the beginning they asked me to if I took that up with management. I did. Actually, I took it up to all people involved because I was a new investigator. My work was supervised by what they call a BEA, a business expertise advisor, who was monitoring my work and having the last say into it's okay, it's a go, she has done her investigation well or not. And my work was overviewed as well by my team leader and by my coach. The management was informed as well, and I told them, I mean, going as I was going through the cases, uh, I was asking questions. I was saying things that I was putting fingers on things or pointing out things that I didn't thought was too fair, or I was wondering, oh, how come I was supposed to do this? How come am I supposed to recommend this claimant to be cut of his benefit and to have an overpayment, or this claimant to be denied benefit or and to be penalized? I didn't understand why we were. I thought we were very harsh. At first, I just thought, oh, these rules are extremely harsh, and what those people, especially the BEA, the Business Expertise Advisor, who was the head of evaluating my work as a new investigator and an investigator in training, because that's what I was not pleased by me saying, well, no, this case, for example, is about harassment. This person did quit uh, his or her job, but this claimant was clearly harassed, and well, I had all the facts and all the testimony from people, and oh no, they found article in the EI law and rules that prove that they couldn't use the testimony of other supervisor because these other supervisor declined to give their name, because of course they were talking about their colleagues, and they didn't want to be identified and had trouble or be in danger of losing their job themselves. But they were coming forth and saying, yes, this claimant is indeed being mercilessly harassed, and this claimant tried in any way and every way to bring forth this harassment to to the awareness of his employer, but to no avail. And they told me he didn't see any other way out than leaving. He or she, I don't want to this claimant to be identified in any way, but the claimant didn't see any other way out than leaving the job. And my BA, my team leader, force me by throwing me the books and the EI acts and this and that. And by the way, all these EI acts and all those rules and rulings and you can find a rules or a ruling no matter which way you want to go, to justify where you want to go.
Yeah.
Of course, they were bringing up EI Act's sentence that were supporting why we should recommend to an overpayment to this person, or why we should recommend denial of this person's claim. But I had found other sentences or passages in the EI Act that supported my claim that this person was harassed, and even though the supervisor who was coming forth to support the claimant did not want the name divulged, their name divulged because of obvious work reprimand that could happen to them, to him or her. I had all the EI acts, passage that could support, but they refuse. They say, no, you recommend that this person would have their claim denied, and you will recommend that this person be penalized financially and in terms of hours required to qualify should this person go back to make another EI claim, because you can be penalized both ways in monetary penalties, and also, and often goes together, having an increased hours necessary to be able to apply for EI another time. So, I mean, they forced me. They forced me, and I and that was, and I had another case at the same time, and I was just about sick, and like I couldn't do that. I thought it was the most unfair things, and that's a way where they put pressure on us, and where they don't they use the EI Acts, which is like thousands of pages, and HRSDC books of this and books of that, and operational directory, and it's so humongous, the amount of material we have to refer to, that anybody can find a passage that will justify whatever they want to justify. And they wanted me to justify that, for example, that claimant was to be denied his application for benefits, and this claimant should even be penalized, and this claimant should, monetary speaking, and as well as increase hours of to uh, to be acceptable for another claim, right? So and this claimant was in the fishery industry, which is seasonal, which is in the new rules of Harper's government, are the lesser good. You know, you have sort of hierarchy of the good EI claimant and the middle one and the bad one, and he fell on, or she fell on the bad list because that was a EI claimant that was working in the fishery industry, was a fisher person. And also, this person was First Nation. And that's another
Wow.
thing I brought
Like
forth.
many strikes
As
against
said,
them, right? It was like
I'm
a lot.
sorry, am I going
It
through
was like a
too
lot of
much?
strikes against them, wasn't it?
A lot of strikes, isn't it?
Um,
Because when I brought it up to my team leader, I said, this person is First Nation, is working in fishery. This person lives in a very remote area. Because the team leader was asking me, but is he looking for other work? I said, listen, he's living in a remote location where there's the fishery where they go fishing, and there's the transformation of the products from the sea, and that's it. And there's probably a little local store who sells cigarettes or something. Yes, he has tried. Now he is in this remote location. We cannot ask this person who is First Nation to leave his community or her community to come and work in Vancouver at Walmart. We do not have the right to do that. This person as a First Nation has the right to stay in his community or her community. Well, I was told by my team leader that, excuse me, I will have to be a bit blunt, or even because that's not my word. That was the team leader word. This team leader used, I do not give a rat's ass if he's First Nation or not. Does he look for work? Is he been or is she been looking for work? And we need proof of that. And the harassment case they try to bring forth is not standing, is not holding up, because the supervisor, who are colleagues of the supervisor who is harassing mercilessly this claimant, cannot, the person came forward and saying, yes, this claimant is being mercilessly harassed, but please do not use my name,
right.
because this is my colleague and I will have um, retribution. I will have trouble in my workplace. So they told me in article point two, whatever, they found an article in the EI Act that we cannot use the testimony of this supervisor that came forth to support the claimant's harassment case, because they don't want their name to be to be
Made available to
divulged, to
their
be divulged. Is that the words?
yeah, that's a good word. That's funny. So Sylvie, um,
So
let people know a little bit more about how the system works up here in Canada. I know a lot of the chatters in chat
yeah,
are from the states. In Canada, you work and you pay in. It's taken off your pay automatically by your employer to unemployment or employment insurance. It's called now. Um, you,
Correct.
when you're first for your first claim, you need, I believe it's 700 or 900 hours.
Yes,
So,
correct.
so you need to have worked for 900 hours somewhere over the space of the
Yeah,
last year in order to make a claim.
that's correct.
After that, it used to be after that, you could make claims with lower hours worked. Um, because you just went back to work and you got a job for like 3 months and you didn't get 900 hours, you only got 600 hours, but that would work for you. They used to allow that. I'm not sure if they still do or not. Um, but this is something that you pay into.
Yeah,
You have no choice but to pay into it. It comes off your pay. You don't get a say yes or no. The only time you have a say is if you're self-employed. And if you're self-employed, then you can never apply to get EI
no,
benefits. Now they call it benefits,
no,
but it's something that you pay into all your life, and you only ever use it once in a while, usually, unless, of course, you work in a seasonal job. If you work where your job is plowing the snow for 6 months of the year, then you only actually work for 6 months of the year. If there's no snow to plow, your snowplow kind of sits dormant. But with the new laws, they want you to look for a job. They're also coming out with new laws where when you do look for a job, you have to be willing to take a job that pays less, 30% less, I think they say, and is
yeah,
anywhere within 50 to 100 kilometers from you. Um, so it's really putting the strain on someone going to find a job. First of all, you're unemployed. You don't have money coming in. Now they want you to drive 50 kilometers away to a job if you have a car. If you don't, it's bus it. That they are cutting down as much as they can to make up for the government shortfalls. And in doing so, they're having people like Sylvie, um, investigate people. And when she finds that the person is uh, legally entitled to this claim they're making, then the managers, who are her bosses, change that around and make their own interpretation of the Unemployment Insurance Act,
that's correct.
so that it disqualifies this person. Now there's an incentive behind this, because
Yes.
I've spoken with Sylvie offline too, and there's an incentive behind this. There are bonuses out there, aren't there, Sylvie? You want to tell me a little bit about those bonuses?
Absolutely, OP. There is big incentive. First of all, the utmost incentive is to save what they call save money for the government to the good. Oh, we found so many frauds, so many millions dollar fraud, and isn't it great, and we stop up. And also for those bonuses, $50,000 plus, and that was not leaked by me, that was leaked by someone else, and with official documents that prove that, leaked to the liberal, actually, MP, that with a document, official document, that shows that $50,000 and plus to all managers that have teams that perform well, and if even if they don't exactly meet, they are still given $50,000 plus bonuses every year at the end of the fiscal year, uh, because of all those cuts and all those EI and penalties and money saved in quotation. So this is one of the big incentive, and also the incentive that this is the to the director and manager of every Service Canada offices in the whole country. Now, also, us as investigator, we have, and I add in my what they call PLA, performance learning assessment. They do this to every employee, whether new or not. We have a PLA done every 6 months about, where they tell us what are our objectives, what do they expect of us, and this and that. My first, on top, first things that was put on my PLA, and this is in the end of the union right now, and in the end of it will be in the end of the media if they're interested in it. But I have that as a document, my first objective or target, as we will call it, Madame Finlay, but as I call it as quotas, $35,000 a month, 35,000 to $40,000 savings in quotation a month that I have to encounter as an investigator. That is the first thing on my performance indicator and my performance assessment indicator. That's the first thing and the most thing that they will look. I mean, that's it. That's the beginning and the end of the story. That's what they look to.
Yeah, it's all about the numbers. Um,
That's it.
and as we know, the Harper government takes this and turns it around and says that uh, um, that now there's less people on the employment insurance rolls now. So they try and make it look like there are more people out there working instead of actually admitting the reason behind less people on the rolls is because they have people in the background cutting people with legal claims but making a trumped up guess at why they should cut them, and managers getting bonuses for employees like Sylvie to make these cuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous, and this is what Canadians are paying
Yeah.
for with their tax dollars.
The investigator OP don't get the bonuses. It's management. I don't know if team leader does, but I know it's management and director. Now, and I heard my own team leader at some offices because I at change offices, but one of them told me, yes, $50,000 and plus a year, every fiscal year. These director and manager are getting, to say, oh, good work, you have saved all this money. Now, I find that quite horrendous, it's just appalling that they would make money out of sending people in the street, basically, and then they find anyway. And it put a pressure on investigator to meet those $35,000 to $40,000 savings a month. Like I said, the first and foremost goal on my PLA and on any investigator PLA all across Canada is that. Now, let's not try to call it whatever, right? It's called quota, and it's called, if you don't meet them at the end of the year, you're going to have a very unpleasant meeting with the management. Now, I even had an office meeting. We had a meeting between management and team leader and investigator. And at some point, and investigators, it was coming from investigator. They were just about desperate and nervous and asking very anxiously to the manager who was there and the team leader, but because there's two levels of decision making. There's us, the investigator, who are doing the investigation, gathering the facts and everything, writing the reports, sending that to adjudication, we call it, or payment and processing branch, and them, they take the final decision into the recommendation we have made as investigator after reading our facts finding, after reading our reports and everything. Those two levels are supposed to be separated, and they're supposed to exist in an independent and objective way, looking at every case of claimant in order to give fair and objective and just decision for each and every Canadian who find themselves, unfortunately, having to be unemployed and asking for employment insurance. Now, in that meeting, when I was sitting with my colleague investigators and my team leader and my manager, a very, very anxious investigator asked, but what do they want, those adjudicators who take the final decision? What do they want in our report? We don't know what to write. We think we write all the facts. We try to be writing as good report as we can. We bring all the facts. We do good investigation. We send that to them, and often we don't get our recommendation approved. Of course, she was anxious and talking about recommendation not approved by the final okay or not of adjudication. She was talking about denying, cutting, overpayment, penalties, because that and all investigator have to meet those quotas of $40,000 a month. And when it goes to the other level of adjudication and they give us a no, you are not to give this person a penalties. You know, you're not going to cut this claimant. No, you're not going to put an overpayment and penalties on this claimant. Their savings, those investigators' savings go down. They have less savings automatically. So she was asking the team leader and management and other people in the meeting. She said, what can we do? Couldn't we meet with those adjudicators, those people that work in PPD, payment and processing directors or whatever, to know what they want us to write. What do they want us to write? How do they want us to present information? What do they want to see in our report so that they will give us the yes to our recommendation we need in order to meet our quotas? And everybody agreed with that. All the other, I was sitting in a meeting with other investigators. Everybody agreed with that. Management and team leader thought it was the greatest idea. We're going to suggest that to PPD, to the adjudicator, and we'll ask them if we cannot have a meeting together and see what are they looking for in our report, in our how do they want the information to be put forward to them? What do they want to see in the report so that they will be favorable, give a favorable decision to our recommendation to meet our quotas? And I was the only one raising my hand and saying, well, I don't know. For me, it looks like a conflict of interest that could be possibly happening here. I mean, we are separated entities for a reason in order to give Canadian, unemployed Canadian, um, uh, a fair, just, and objective, impartial decision on their claim, on their asking for benefits. And here we are going to form a little club where we're going to chit chat about what do they want so that they give us a yes to our recommendation and we meet our quotas. That seemed to me has highly unethical,
To
like
say the least.
collusion, bordering collusion, not even bordering, but being collusion between two separate and dependent entities that have been always kept that way and should not discuss together any cases, obviously, but even in more general terms, should not discuss about how to present information and what do they want and which information to put in our report and recommendation in order to have approval. That is collusion in order to meet our quotas. No, now I don't see those people are cruel and terrible Canadian investigators that try to send everybody in the street. But all I'm saying is, can you imagine when she talks about it just objective, this is another proof that it isn't. These are very, this was brought about by very anxious and nervous investigators that were not or afraid of not meeting the quotas.
Uh, uh,
And they were basically suggesting unethical ways to meet their quotas. And when I brought that up, they sent me now my a report of investigation because they have investigated me, and they say that they of course twist the information around and said that, oh, I saw a plot against unemployed Canadians everywhere. I was someone not willing to do my work as an investigator in EI, and I was saying plot against unemployed Canadian everywhere. So
but
that's how they discredit me. I was saying plot everywhere, and of course my colleagues are not going to come to support me because they don't. They see what's happening to me, first of all, right now, and I mean, how a pressure are they going to be under? Not to, they don't even want to know my name. They don't even want to be associated with me. And of course, they are not going to say, yes, that's true. We were under such a pressure that we suggested such an unethical way to go about it to meet our quotas. They would say, no, no, that didn't happen. And I mean, there's no way of winning.
yeah, they,
It's all going to be
that's
denied.
that's where they seem to think they have the power is with people like you, they figure that again, we're right back to where they decided that they were going to suspend you on suspicion, no less. This just absolutely blows me away. Suspended you on suspicion, with no pay.
Yes.
This and now, as you say, this person who was anxiously asking or making these comments, that they are probably not even realizing where they're going by making this comment, about speaking with the other department, but about the collusion in there. But yes, you were very, you hit that bang on the money. That is collusion. That's definitely not something that's supposed to be happening. But then you have these investigators like you, who don't want to end up like you, homeless, with
No.
I mean, sure, it looks great that you've got this nice looking place behind you and so on and so forth, but you're actually couch surfing
Oh,
at the
I'm at a
moment.
friend's place.
Yeah, it
I'm not at my
is.
place.
So, uh,
I'm at a friend's place.
which is where the government or the employer, it doesn't really matter whether it's government or employer. Nowadays, they seem to be one and the same. But it doesn't really matter. That's where they want you, is broke and not capable of fighting back. And as you say,
And
they've sent you.
ostracized,
They've ostracized from all
ostracized
your friends. Yes,
by all my
you,
colleagues,
you,
ostracized by all my colleagues,
because they still
ostracized
have
by
your colleagues still have
all adults.
mortgages to pay, and like you, they still have to pay the tuition for their kids and so on and so forth. And so
Like
they're
me,
afraid.
actually.
People
They're
nowadays
afraid.
seem to be
Yeah,
afraid. They're
I'm not
afraid
saying they're bad
for
people.
themselves. They're so I'm at the stage right now where I need a coffee. Are you ready for a coffee? I think we should take a 5-minute break and have
I
a
just
coffee.
want to add something. Someone said that she has a lawyer, this woman. She needs a lawyer. And they're really right. I need a lawyer. Union is taking care of that right now. But, anyway, that's as well something else I don't want to get into. But no, I can get a lawyer. I mean, people is asking me, she needs a lawyer. Well, how am I going to get a lawyer? I did get the advice of a lawyer one time. I went one time because I couldn't pay more than $300 a shot, and I cannot retain this lawyer because I cannot pay his fees. But this lawyer, who is in constitutional law, said that this is a case that should be in Supreme Court of Canada under the right of conscience. I have asked towards following my conscience, and that I shouldn't be penalized, and that my right for conscience supersede as power over any contract I sign with any employer, even the federal government, as it is the case, that my right under the Charter of Canadian Right and Freedom, my right of conscience, are protected, and they shouldn't be violated, and it cancel any and should cancel any contract I've signed with any employer whatsoever, even the federal government. But unfortunately, I don't have this lawyer. This lawyer representing me. I can barely pay for the gas in my car right now. I mean, I can't. I have no money, and I'm suspended. You're correct, without pay since the 13th, and when they suspend people only on allegation, usually when they suspend people on allegation, they do pay them. Even RCMP, who I don't know, are criminally charged with beating up someone, they're suspended with pay until the investigation is completed. Me, I mean, it was not even a criminal thing, or they suspend me right away on the 13th without pay, just on allegation. And I find it pretty. This is actually unlawful. They shouldn't even have had the right, and this is the Canadian government doing that.
See that's that's why I say suspended without pay just blows me away. We have senators who are accepting $90,000 checks, and they are still getting paid as a senator
Yes, yes,
of, what is it, 200 and some odd $1,000 a year, when you know
yes.
full well what they were doing there was illegal, and but you're suspended without pay. See, the little guys are easy to
And
get. It's
told me,
very
and they told me suspended without pay right away,
it's easy to
right
it's
away.
easy to get the little guys. It's easy to get someone like you. Kick your ankles a few times and you're
Yeah,
falling down. And that's where they try and get their power. That's where I'm amazed, and so many of us on Twitter were amazed that you had the intestinal fortitude to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take this.
And
Uh,
that's when I said exactly. That's when I said I'm going to go to CBC because they're starving me until I go away. Basically, that's what they're doing
yeah,
because they
hang on,
never
hang on,
suspend something
hang on
without
there,
pay.
hang on there. Okay, so that's in May. What was it? May 15th. They suspended you.
May 13, and they began the investigation May 15. So they
So they
suspended
were
me without
investigating
pay
you.
before
They were investigating you. They questioned you while you weren't being paid.
May 15.
Who? Mason.
Yes, yes.
What?
They suspended me May 13. They suspended me May 13 without pay, beginning May 13, and the interrogation was May 15. So even before they began the investigation and they interrogate me on May 15, I was already suspended without pay. I mean, how bad that can go. I mean, yeah, like you're
So
right.
so the investigation was a
Yeah.
farce. I mean, they'd already made a decision
Yes,
before they even had the investigation. I mean, two
they
days before,
already made a
obviously.
decision.
You know, this has
Yeah,
been a farce all the way along.
that's it. I was fired May 13, basically. They should have just say May 15, you're fired. I was without pay since then.
And that's the funny thing because Sylvie works for or worked for EI, so they suspend her without pay, which means that she can't apply for EI. And
No,
even if she did get fired, she'd have to wait 8 weeks or something like that before she could apply, and then they could still refuse her. But yeah. So this is just
they will
starve and
refuse
hope that
me.
you go away. This is what they're doing. They're hoping
Well,
that
that's
you
it.
will disappear.
Starve her until she goes away. Until she's tired of it and she goes away.
That's right. That's right. Well,
That's how
I
I
don't
see
think we're going
that.
to let that go away right now. So, has anybody
Let's
in
go for
chat got,
coffee.
has anybody in chat got any direct questions at the moment for Sylvie? Let's see what happens there.
There's a question about, I have a union and I can get fired. This isn't true, actually. The union does not have the power. They can fight it if I get fired, but it doesn't mean they will win. And actually, the union told me, some people in the union told me, Sylvie, you're never going to get your job back or any job at the federal level. So uh, that is not true. That the union is all powerful and I cannot get fired. The union told me they told me nothing is finished until it's finished. But at the same token, they told me, you're never going to get a job at the federal level anymore. Never. So that's an answer for that person.
Yeah. Now, um, so yeah, they suspended you without pay on the 13th. Then they had an investigation on the 15th, um,
Yes.
and finally on the what was it, the 15th of July that you decided to go to CBC?
Something like that. I don't remember out in July, mid-July. I
Mid-July.
said, this is ridiculous.
Because
Yeah, this is
you
ridiculous.
finally
I'm
said this.
muzzled. I'm doing nothing at home.
Yeah, you finally
This
decided
is
to go to
enough.
CBC or to another
Yes,
media, and I believe it was CBC. I think it was Peggy Fong from CBC, if I remember rightly.
that's correct. That's
Um,
correct.
and you let her know that you were the whistleblower. So now you have finally admitted in the middle of July that you
Yeah,
were the whistleblower. You were the one that leaked a couple of
that's,
documents. Apparently,
yes,
from what I hear,
yes.
they have a lot of documents. So you didn't leak all the documents. You're just the only one that's actually stood up and said, "Yes, I did." You know, and and
That's correct.
and they have
There's
already
other documents that
and they have already decided long before they even had an investigation that it was you that did it. So I just find this really amusing at the moment. Well, amusing but annoying too. This is my government we're dealing with. Um,
Yeah,
so now you get a report from what you have told me. You get a report
yeah,
from them giving you information on this investigation that they have on you, and they tell you in this report that you admitted to leaking documents at the investigation. And you and I have spoken about this a couple of times, and you say that is not true. Is that right?
sorry, I didn't get this last question,
That
OP.
they are telling you in your
Yeah,
report that you admitted at the investigation to leaking documents. And you
yeah.
tell me that you did not do that. That's right?
Mm, that's true. Yeah, I did not. And I think in the press they may have made a mistake on the date and said that too, because my English is obviously not that good, and it's not the fault of the press at all. But they said, oh, they sent me a document saying that I lied to the press that. I told them the truth on the interrogation day of May 15, that I have said, yes, I leaked the document. No, I didn't then. No, I didn't. I had nothing to gain to do so, and I didn't. It was only in July when I went to CBC that I made public that I was the whistleblower behind the quotas, among other things. But yeah.
So it was in July. So, it looks to me, you know, as much as they might have done an investigation and they brought people in, I understand from our conversations that they brought people in who could speak French for this investigation. Um, they had already made their decision on the 13th of May. And then just to fill out their decision, after they've read in the papers or heard on the news about you speaking to CBC, then they say, oh, yeah, well, she admitted that during our investigation, which is completely not true, right?
No,
And,
no,
and can I ask you,
exactly.
can I ask you, do they have stenographers or tape recorders happening and things like that when during this
Yeah,
investigation? And do you get
yes, I have a DVD, and I gave the DVD to the union, but they're supposed to make copy, and I want my original DVD back. But yes, there's a DVD of the integral of the long afternoon interrogation, and in there, I denied. And I denied it's May 15, and I deny having gone to the press.
Well, um, you know, now there's, we've beat that horse. Okay, so they screwed you there, and we know that they've screwed
Yeah.
you there. Um, now there was going to be a hearing on August the 8th, which was tomorrow, but that's been pushed
That's
because
correct.
of no translators and so on and so forth. That's correct.
Yes, that's correct. The representative in BC, and they did not have nobody else. And I suggested that we have someone from Quebec, but anyway, it seems like they can't, because Quebec took care of Quebec and BC to be of BC. So and the
Well, of
union
course.
representative, who is bilingual, he is coming back at the end of August. So it's reported all the way to September.
Well,
September 12th is the hearing.
of course, there's Quebec and Canada are two different things. I mean, Harper would like to separate them as much as he can, as far as I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now I had a few questions that I prepared to ask you. You've gone through most of them. Um, One of them here was You actually said that. What's the reaction to everything that's happened since the leak? Have people been supportive? Who has contacted you, and from past friends, etc. Now, we discussed something last night about someone's hard drive being looked at and everything. I think we should leave that alone here at the moment. But just who's been in touch and said, "Gee, well done," and have you lost a lot of friends because of this, or what's the story there?
Like I said, it's a lonely road in some ways. I haven't had any support from the inside, I should say. Of course, for obvious reason, but it's a bit sad. Um, I have had support from mostly from strangers, well, who were stranger first, like UOP, but now I consider a very good friend. But people, ordinary Canadian, that felt supported by what I did, and also just thought that it was the right thing to do, and wrote, for example, in comment after journal, after newspaper article or everything, that they supported me. And like today, some people who write in live stream that they support me and everything. Yes, it's coming from people I don't know, and I want to tell them how touched I am by that. The first time, OP, you called me with this fundraising idea that you and your group of people out there have to support me, I was in tears. Like, I was so touched. I didn't know that someone was still thinking of me. Um, and it felt very lonely until you guys from your group came along, and that I read. CBC Peggy Fong told me, Sylvie, stop crying. One day she called me and I was alone at home, and she said, stop crying, Sylvie. Go in the comment section of after my interview with you and see how many thousands and thousands of Canadians are supporting you and are behind you. And she called at the right moment, and she was right, because you feel very lonely. When it was very much of a lonely experience, and an experience of divided to conquer within the government, the government institution where I used to work. It was really much divide to conquer, and I find myself ostracized. So I'm glad that it came from all part of Canada, and I lost some friends. Yeah, people who do not understand that I would do such a thing, that they think I should just hang on to my job and shut up. That I was not in a position financially to do that, and they're right. I was not. I never was, and I'm even worse off. But I did what I think, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. I'm supported by my good friend here, where I'm spending a few TLC days, which I needed. Uh, so I I just thank Canadian in general, people right now in live stream that send me such beautiful supportive comment, and people after newspaper or radio. And it comes from people who are stranger often, unfortunately, but fortunately too. It means that there's good people out there. I don't personally know them, but I thank them from the bottom of my heart because they make my road very much less lonely and hopeless.
Well, there's many out there. I was surprised just by the amount of people that got back in touch with me on Twitter to say, no, this is stupid. We have to do something about this. Which brings us to the reason why we got together and threw together this Indigo campaign. We didn't
Yeah.
think it made sense that you should be suspended without pay. Uh, uh, um, as a punishment for something that just made sense to so many of us for doing your job the way the way I would hope I'd do my job if I was in that position. And
Yeah.
I think the way people actually did that job 10, 15 years ago. Well, when Canada was still in the caring mode, we seem to be at the moment more in the war mode than the caring mode, which really upsets me.
Yeah.
Um, are you comfortable
It,
with continuing on with this, Sylvie? I'm good. If you'd like to continue on, as long as everyone agrees, we can keep moving this along, or we can end this whenever anyone feels like it. So, it's up to you, Sylvie.
I'm okay. I'm
You're
okay either way. I know some people were talking about having a coffee. I don't know. I'm okay. I can continue. I don't need the coffee. I can take a break. I can whatever you feel and people feel like doing. I mean, I'm so thankful for people to listen to my story, and I'm so thankful to you, OP, and to your group, and to those people out there that it doesn't matter. I can go for coffee. If you need to go for coffee, I can stop. I can continue.
I want to do a
It's all
quick
up to you.
I want to do a quick search on Twitter and
Yeah.
take a quick look here through here and yeah, seems to be quite a few little tweets happening out there. See,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that this stays on people's mind. You see, our government has gone on vacation, which they do every year for like 2 months. Man, I wish I had a job like that. And they've gone on vacation, and they hope things like this will disappear. It'll be swept under the rug, and we'll move on to the next scandal they come up with, or whatever it may be. I don't think that should happen. I'm going to think we're going to work hard on not letting that happen. I understand there's a lot of media people out there who have been in touch with you, wanting you to do interviews, especially in the Vancouver area where you're in that general area. CKNW, I think it was, and CBC have been
Hmm.
reaching out to you. Um, uh,
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
you have something that you're doing tomorrow. Is that right? Do you want to tell us about that?
Tomorrow, yes, the Ontario Today tomorrow are doing a special on whistleblowers, and they want me to talk about my experience, and they're asking actually if anybody is interested. It's a call-in program about the experience people have experienced as whistleblower, if they have been a whistleblower or if they have thought of blowing the whistle about work practice or circumstances that are unfair, unjust, or unacceptable. And so they ask people to call in and talk about that if they have been or they have thought of blowing the whistle on unfair practices at work. And it's tomorrow. Ontario CBC, Ontario Today, the name of the program. And also, yeah, there's other thing coming up. in the radio program, uh, I would try to put the link up anywhere you tell me. You're much more better with technology than me, OP. So anywhere where
If you
people
throw
that are interested could look at,
if you
I could.
if you throw the link into Skype, I'll pass it through over to the chat.
Excellent, excellent. Because there's more coming up, and thank you for saying that you don't want that to go quietly and just die down. Because I think that, I mean, for me personally, it's it's really touching me a lot that people care enough about me and my and the issue I face, but also that Canadian react to what is unacceptable happening to them, not just to me, but to them too, to anybody. That it touches everybody. What's happening out there and what's happening behind closed door, and that all this non-transparency of this government, it's quite dangerous. It's quite sometimes it makes me think of more of a dictatorship than anything.
Well, and there's many Canadians who are feeling that way too. You're one of many on that one. I'll tell you that for sure. Um,
Yeah.
let me check our chat and see whether there's any questions from anybody. Sorry, I've been trying to play with Twitter. I've been. Anybody have any questions? Let me go back. Transference unviewed. So what is next for Sylvie? I know you're staying at a friend's place now, and then you said you're going to be staying at another friend's place coming up. How long is that next location going to be yours to stay at? Um, part of the reason we started this Indigo account was because it doesn't make sense to us that a single mother should be having to couch surf anywhere. So we figured there was enough Canadians out there who and probably enough Americans out there who, though they may not be rich and floating in money, they might have a buck or $2 or something they could throw at this. Every little dollar helps. If there's 30 million Canadians in the country and they all put out 50 cents each, um, you know,
Yeah.
you'd be seeing Sylvie
And
make
this,
a big difference in a lot of Canadians' lives. Trust me. Um, so, what were you gonna
yeah.
say? Sorry, Sylvie, I cut you off there. What were you gonna say?
I just want to say, yeah, there's someone that has asked me if I have a Twitter account. I do, and someone else has said, "Oh, I cannot do much, but I send a little donation." I just want to say that it touches me all. I mean, that no donation is too small, and I just think that for me it's as much emotional as the money. Like, I just feel so supported, and so it warms my heart, really, just to know that someone who has $5 and give me, and put it out. It touches me. It's as much emotional that I feel less lonely, and I feel supported in what I did and I thought was what I had to do.
That's that.
So I thank you all. I just
Yeah.
I'm short of words. I don't know how to express my my thankfulness. How grateful I am. I'm speechless that way.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people do end up getting coming together in life, even people who don't know each other. As much as we have corporations and governments and even media in many situations trying to divide the people. People can be a community when they want to, and I've seen it happen
Yeah.
many a times. I'm sure you have too in your lifetime, Sylvie. So these are all,
Yeah.
and as you say that even people, um, some people just can't afford it, and I understand
No.
that. I'm one
No.
of those
Oh,
people. But
yeah.
I can't
Seriously.
afford to spend the time and spread the message and tell other
Oh,
people and
that's a
let people
lot.
know that not only is this donation link out there, etc., but also that this is actually happening. This is happening. It's
Yeah.
being done by employees that are being paid with your tax dollars. You
Yes.
have no choice about it. It is being done in your name. Say thank you. You know, do you want
Yeah.
employees who are doing things like that for you, or do you want employees like Sylvie who are standing up and saying, "Bullshit, we can't be doing this crap"? That's where I
No.
am with this. So okay, let's look at questions in the chat. People in the chat, I will stop yapping for a minute, and I'll just read the chat. If there's any questions, go for it. I think I saw Free Will with one. Just a minute. Let me scroll back. It was, what are your long-term plans, Sylvie?
Um. Oh, right now I have difficulty to even think or see what's going to happen tomorrow. Um. I do hope that it's not going to just go away and continue to be the same. I mean, regarding this question of what I have, talked about the quota and all that. I just hope that it would change something for Canadian. I mean, it has to. If we have to, I think so. If we have to go down on the street and I mean, we have to do it. This is too unfair. This is taking Canadians' money to pay bonuses or whatever, and to this is not, it should not even continue one day. It should never have happened. They should, I think that even what could be good, and I hope, is an investigation into EI practice, their policy, their practices. How do they process claim, and how do they treat claimant? Because I've heard awful interview, whether in the phone or in person, people being treated awfully by. I mean, it has to be investigated. The EHI, their whatever, all the means that they use to investigate as to be investigated themselves to see if they are not contravene human rights, and if they're not harassment. Basically, they are harassment and bullying. I hope, for me, in the meantime, I'm looking at that. I obviously will have to find work. I cannot continue to have to live at a friend's place and another friend's place and another person here and there. I do not have a big portfolio of investment because all my money, the few years I worked for the government, went to my son. So, I mean, I have my own situation to financially take care of, and I hope there'll be some kind of a job I can do with that will not be against my value, and I can do and survive on. But I can see very far ahead. I am quite distraught by the situation, obviously.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and you know, being someone who's been rung through the system a couple of times, I know full well that you know, as you're out looking for work, you also have to keep in mind that, well, I'm going to have to make excuses for this hearing, or I'm going to have to make excuses for that, or I'm going to have to make you know, all that is sitting in your mind as you're trying to go out and find work, right? Been there, done that. So I can see work being a challenge in the next little while, unless of course we can get someone like you know, Lead Now or Council of Canadians or people like that who
exactly.
actually have who are actually kind of starting off on the right foot by saying, "Wait a minute, we're here for Canadians. We're not here for um, the
Well,
corporations
it,
for the
you
dollar."
OP is totally right because right now I'm painted as the dangerous person, the enemy. I mean, I haven't had any employer lining up in front of my door, of course. I mean, I'm seen as a troublemaker. Yeah. I mean, I haven't had any offer of a job. So it would have to be an employer or an employment that will go with my values and that the employer's values will go with mine. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I could see union. I could see anything that is not obviously you know, mainstream institution that wants, workers that follow the rules, even if the rules are really unfair or prejudicial to other people or to other Canadians. So yeah, even probably finding a place to live, if ever I get some money together, I'll have trouble because, you know, they would say, "Oh, this is a woman that brings trouble."
Yeah,
So
the
yeah, right.
black SUVs will be parked
The
in front of
black,
your
yeah,
door.
yes, yes.
I'm sure you've already made it to um, uh, the Harper or the CPC enemies list. Have you heard about that? No.
Oh yes, I'm there. I'm there.
I think you're there with a lot of us. Um,
Yes.
are there any questions that I missed from the chat?
Sorry.
Oh, I'm kind of talking to the chat too, Sophie.
Oh, sure,
You know,
sure.
I know this is all new to you, but this is kind of you know, uh, I get a chance to chat to the chat. You get a chance to chat to the chat. As you know, you can read the chat and hear what they're saying or see what they're saying. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Ruby says, "Tell her thank you, 8." When she says 8, she's talking to me. You know what the opinion 8ed, right?
Yeah, yeah. And there's people that there's someone that has asked for my email and saying that if she could help if, we live close and everything, and I don't have any trouble to give my email or my but
Oh,
of course
they, now hang on. I'm going to stop the chat here for a minute.
yes.
How do I do this again? I forget now. Huh? Nah, 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 nah. Oh yeah, here we go. Moderator only. Okay. Save changes. I'm gonna scroll back here, and I see here
Yeah.
it says court wheels. Sylvie, if you like chickens, kids, and dogs, I have a place for you to stay. Court wheels is my friend that I was telling you about from Powell River up here. And she does.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
a beautiful place, and trust me, it's as quiet as you could ever want to get.
Oh really? Is this the Shandy, the person who is called Shandy in the chat, the live stream thing?
No, the name in the live stream chat was Court Wheels.
Awkward Wills. Yeah, and there's a Shandy that said, if you live close to me, yes, and I don't know Shandy, and I don't want to send my email there
No, don't
in
put
the
your email.
chat because
Don't
then,
put your email in the chat.
no.
If
But
anyone
if
wants to
ever
get in
you
touch,
want to contact you,
if anyone wants to get in
give her
touch,
my,
they can
my email.
always go to AccuEarth at
Yeah,
gmail.com, and we will
yeah.
forward everything to Sylvie, no problem. Okay, but no, I don't think you should put your email into a public chat. Sorry.
Oh, and okay, perfect. That would be a good way, yeah, to let them know that if they want to get in contact, to go to that place you said, and
That's right.
because that Shandy said that, and maybe she live.
Yeah,
I would love to live in Powell River.
Lippy has put the email address into the chat for us. Thank you, Lippy.
Oh, thank you, Lippy. Yeah, that's fantastic because then they could get in touch with me. Yeah, through there. I guess I have to.
Yeah, I can forward all that to you from there. I
Okay.
just
Yeah, you know
yeah,
how good I am with.
yes,
Mhm.
it's so Sylvie doesn't spend hours on the computer like a lot of us. It's been a learning experience for her trying to figure out how to get this live stream happening and an Indigo account happening. Uh, it, she's smiling
I
now. She's smiling now. She was pulling her hair out last night.
Yes, I had a very patient teacher, mentor. OP was so patient with me. I have to say, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And so, yeah, thanks to that.
Well,
Yes, he is a great teacher. I agree with this.
the only
This
reason the
with
only reason you feel that way, Sylvia, is because I had such belief in what you had done, right? I mean,
yeah,
you empowered me to go forward. As I had said at one point, I'd read about it in the news back in February, and
yeah,
I'd forgotten about it too. Until I started hearing, suspended without pay, homeless. What the hell is this? Did
yeah,
this doesn't make sense to me. I'm hoping it doesn't make sense to the rest of Canada. You know.
yeah, yeah. No, it was hard, but like I said, lonely because ostracized by certain people, like I said, and I'm not going back there, but I gained a whole lot of good people around me, and that I'm very thankful for that. And that includes those people today who are on live stream and Twitter and you and that has begin this whole thing running to begin with. So I mean, it feels
Yes.
good, feels great.
Okay. Yes, Catwoman. It will be archived. Um, Sylvia, open your Twitter account.
I hope in Twitter, okay, I hope I'm not going to press something and I'm going to lose you, but I will try not to lose nobody. I'm going to open the Twitter account. Twitter, is it Sylvie the WB?
No.
I think it is,
Mm-mm.
yeah. It's not Sylvie WB, my username.
No, it's Sylvie Therrien 5.
Twitter, Sylvie Therrien 5. Okay. Um, No, I think it's
Okay, well, don't say what it is out loud. What you're on air at the moment, so don't worry about it. If you don't have it open, don't worry about it. I just wanted to show you.
no,
I just
no.
wanted to show you the tweets that are happening under the hashtag. Uh, um,
Okay.
this is the hashtag. I'll type it into the chat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So I can look at it, yeah, later or, but I think I got the right one now. You know what? I don't know. I'm still having trouble with the Twitter thing, so I think I'm better to. I mean, I don't want people to be bored while I'm trying to find password or something. Okay,
Okay, so I think we've just about covered
I
everything.
can hear you.
You can or you can't. You can or you can't.
I couldn't. Now I can.
Now you can. Okay, I was too far from the mic. I think we're going to.
Yeah.
I think we've just about covered everything that we wanted to cover in
Yeah.
this. Um, oh, I see. Sharp says, "Can you briefly explain what happened?" I can actually do that. Um,
Yeah.
where now? Where can I do it? I have it written down somewhere. Or you can say it. Or can okay. Here we go. Um,
What was this question?
Well, Sharp asked, can you explain briefly for late arrivers what what the what happened
Yeah.
and
Oh, okay.
just a quick summary to let them know what we've been talking about and
Yeah.
everything. Go ahead. You know that. You can do it.
I can do, yeah.
Sure.
Yes. Um, okay, so a brief summary of what happened is that I was part of the job cuts at the federal government. I began working for the feds 2011, January 2011, and I was working in programs which was to help with fundings, community services, and population that have that have in needs of help and everything, and it was marvelous job. But then they cut all these helpful type of jobs off, and they put that on lines, and people, cannot have now a live person to help them with their fundings and requests and everything. And they sent all of us. They cut all the jobs in our department, and they sent all of us policing the system, which is what they call integrity services. So we all ended up investigator of EI fraud, or supposedly EI fraud. And that's where I began to work. I was trained in October, and my training was continuing in November. I was a new, November 2012, I was a new investigator, and I was appalled by the techniques and the harassment, basically, that I had to subjected people that were on EI, just to make them say something that I can use against them, to cut their benefit or deny them benefits, or and give them penalties. I was forced to give penalties and to people. I was forced basically to meet quotas. Those quotas were of $35,000 to $40,000 a month. Every investigator has this quota to meet, and it was appalling, because I had to basically try to fit and that's what investigators do, try to fit the facts that they find, or try to have claimants say something they can use about against them, and to try to cut or deny and penalize them in order to have all those savings of $40,000 a month met. Now, I went to the media with that, and other people from Service Canada went to the media with other information, such as bonuses to manager who receive bonuses when their team of investigators do well and save lots of money, which is $40,000 a month at least every month of the year. So that's lots of money at the end of the year. They receive $50,000 plus bonuses at the end, and all that is documented officially. It was leaked to the press with official document testifying that what we were saying is true. It's not just out of the blue. Now, I was suspended May 13 on allegation that I went to the media. May 15, I was interrogated for an afternoon by senior interrogator from Ottawa, and I denied having gone to the media because there was no point for me to making their job easier, as I was going to lose my job anyway if I was saying yes. I went to the media with and I leaked document. Now, in July, around mid-July, I went because I saw that anyway. What they were doing really by suspended me without pay was saying you're fired, but without saying it. And I had no money, and I decided to go public with the fact that here is what happened to someone who decide to say the truth and be and to be transparent and say to Canadians what's happening with their own money behind the wall of government offices, and what's happening with the money in their lives. So basically, in a nutshell, that's what has happened to me. Have I forgotten something, Hopi, or?
No, no, no. You hit everything just about to a T. Um,
Yeah,
you know, because we are leaving quite a bit out. We are leaving quite a bit out purposely. There is still an investigation
yeah,
going on.
yeah.
Hopefully, we'll get some intelligent lawyer in Canada say, wait a minute, this is a good case to pull against the Charter of Freedoms, Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Um,
That's
which
it. Well, that's
comes
what I
up
was
with the
hoping.
moral conscious comments,
That's
etc.
right.
So, this is just a start. I'm sure, you know what, Sylvie, I have a funny feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more of you on Occupy Earth, and I actually think the mainstream media is going to be seeing a lot more of you. The difference will be that
Yeah.
here you'll get no spin, no editing, no bullshit. Mainstream
Hmm.
media might play with your wording a little bit, depending on who they're actually working for at the time. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
with that, anyone else have anything you'd like to ask, or and if not, we can call it a day. We've been at it for
Yeah.
a while here. We've been going almost 2 hours here, so that's stretched it longer than
Yeah.
I expected to be able to. I figured that we would lose interest before then.
Hmm. I want to thank everybody, and Hopi, like I said again many times, and your group of people are very, very, very kind and compassionate Canadian, and everybody that supports Canadians, me and Canadians in general, and that's really from the bottom of my heart that keeps me going. Thank you.
Okay, Sylvia, and as you can probably read in the chat, Ping says, "Don't give up. Thank you for what you're doing there." Nini saying, "Thank you, Sylvie." Feather saying, "Thank you, Sylvie." Or you go, Sylvie.
Mm.
Sharp says, "Thank you, Sylvie." Free Will says, "Best wishes for your future." Shandy says, Sylvie, merci." Um, oui, ça c'est quelque chose. Si tu veux là, tu peux l'expliquer en français pour le monde qui sont ici en français.
Oui.
Veux-tu l'essayer ça un petit peu?
Ah, je peux toujours, je ne sais pas s'il y a des gens qui sont francophones, mais s'il y a des gens qui sont francophones, bon, je suis de la ville de Québec à l'origine, je vis dans l'Ouest depuis maintenant presque 25 ans et je travaillais pour le gouvernement fédéral. Maintenant, je suis dans une saga avec le gouvernement fédéral, malheureusement. Je ne l'ai pas cherché, mais on m'a trouvé. Je travaillais au programme d'aide aux communautés, aux services sociaux, aux populations dans le besoin en général. Avec le gouvernement conservateur qu'on a, tous ces programmes d'aide ont été coupés. On a tous perdu nos emplois, tout le monde dans ce département. Et on a tous... le seul emploi qui nous a été offert était d'aller travailler pour ce qu'ils appellent le service d'intégrité, qui est finalement être enquêteur pour Service Canada pour l'assurance emploi. Et finalement, on est des polices du gouvernement. Là, on essaie de trouver, on essaie de trouver tout le monde. On essaie de trouver des failles, que tout le monde n'est pas correct, et que tout le monde sont des criminels ou des voleurs du système ou des gens qui essaient de prendre de prendre avantage du système d'assurance emploi et tout. C'était mon emploi qu'on m'a offert. J'ai commencé ni plus ni moins après la formation et tout en novembre 2012. Et lorsque j'ai vu ce qui se passait dans les bureaux, ce que j'ai vu, qu'est-ce qui se passait, comment on traitait les gens, les bénéficiaires ou les gens qui faisaient des demandes d'assurance emploi, quand j'ai vu ces histoires de quotas qu'on devait rencontrer, ces économies, comme ils appellent, j'ai dit non, non, ça se peut pas. Moi, je pensais que je venais vraiment essayer de trouver la fraude, mais en fait, on me demande d'en trouver même s'il n'y en a pas. Ou d'essayer de trouver des histoires pour qu'on en voit même s'il n'y en a pas. Alors, j'ai décidé d'aller public avec un document sur les quotas et enfin, le reste est d'histoire. Ça fait partie de l'histoire, là. Ça fait la manchette des médias que les quotas sont imposés aux investigateurs, aux enquêteurs et les bonus des gestionnaires et des directeurs. Et tout ce vol d'argent finalement, dont les Canadiens et Canadiennes, employeurs et employés paient, ne peuvent pas bénéficier. Tout cet argent dont ils payent le système d'assurance emploi et autres, et dont ils ne peuvent pas bénéficier. Est-ce que ça va?
Excellent. No, that excellent. I was just putting in chat because there's a lot of people in the chat who are from the states, right? And they don't understand French, but there are some Canadian folks and people who understand French in the chat. So, and I was saying I understand everything you're saying as long as I'm thinking just in French. If I start trying to think in English and go back and forth, then I get kind of screwed up. But as long as I just think in French, I understand exactly what you're saying, word for word. So yeah, thank you very much, Sylvie. I'd like to say a heartfelt thanks from myself and from everybody on Twitter who pushed me to get this going, and for us to get this going, and for us to get this
Yeah.
said more often to everybody. And so, this is what we need in this country. This is what we need in all our countries, I think, is for the everyday employer, for the government, to not be shy, to be able to stand up and say, wait a minute, this is wrong. This isn't what I was actually hired
Mm,
for, you know? Um,
yeah.
your moral conscience should actually be your guide. I agree. So I'm going to say thank you,
Yeah.
Sylvie, and everyone in the chat
Thank
saying thank you,
you.
and stay online. I'll keep in touch with you, but I just want to shut this down and get it saved.
Oh,
Okay, you want to say thanks to the chat or goodbye to the chat?
thank you very much to the chat. Goodbye, and look forward to chat some more. And if there's any question in French and English, do not. And thank you very much for listening and being, asking questions, trying to know more, supporting me. And I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.